Hey guys, Cookie here. The Truth Enforcers Warbond was just released this morning, and Swanee and I have been testing each item in it to let you know whether this Warbond is worth it to get based on how good all the content is. Now Swanee has returned from vacation and was doing the testing with me, but Swanee is under the weather and his voice isn't good to go, so I have stepped in as narrator for today's video, so that's why you're hearing my voice instead of his. Alright, so let's get started. Before getting into the weapons in this Warbond, let's talk about the cosmetics. As alluded to in our video talking about the Warbond trailer, the cosmetics in this Warbond might be worth it on their own, because they look absolutely awesome. The two new armors are both sexy as hell, and the new Superstore armor might be the sexiest of all. Also, if you thought that the new armors reminded you of Star Wars, well, you'll be thinking the same about the new Darth Vader, Doubt Killer armor that you can purchase in the Superstore. The new mech, ship, and pods color scheme is as cool looking as advertised, and even the guns themselves have epic looking designs. So aesthetically speaking, this Warbond is an absolute must, and definitely the best cosmetic looking Warbond we've seen by far. Now let's get to the weapons, starting with the SMG-32 Reprimand. The Reprimand is a heavy-duty submachine gun that fires large caliber rounds with a slower rate of fire to manage the high recoil, ideal for use at close to medium range. The stats show the damage at 125, which is by far the most of any SMG in the game, as well as by far the most of any of the assault rifles as well. It has a capacity of 25 rounds, which I'll talk about. The recoil is set at 44 and the fire rate at 490, and has medium armor penetration. The Reprimand has a flashlight as well as 3 different firing modes: auto, semi, and burst. You're going to want to play around with all 3 because they have different advantages depending on who you're facing. In my opinion, the full auto is best for the Terminids, but for the automatons, I would go with the semi or burst. You may even want to switch the modes depending on the individual enemies from both and how far they are away from you. The gun changes significantly with the firing mode. One of the drawbacks of this gun is how often you need to reload. The 25 shots don't really feel like enough. It has great power, it can kill a lot of enemies, but the constant reloading definitely hurts it in our minds. This is another reason to play around with firing modes because semi and burst will save you a lot of ammo, so if you're not being swarmed with enemies, semi and burst is probably your best option. Semi and burst is also better for recoil, which is good because this gun has a lot of recoil and can be very inaccurate. If recoil doesn't bother you and you can conserve your ammo well, the Reprimand hits super hard. Against the automatons, you can actually use the Reprimand sort of like a marksman rifle with the semi-firing mode. It's pretty cool to just pick off Devastators in the face with an SMG in one shot, and you definitely have that option. It can take out all kinds of enemies and does significant damage to almost any enemy type that isn't huge like the Bile Titan or Factory Strider. One big disclaimer for this gun is that unlike all the other SMGs, you cannot one-hand this weapon. So if you pick up an objective like an SSSD card, or if you're using the ballistic shield, this gun will not work for that, so that part is kind of a bummer. I would recommend this gun to Helldivers, but it's definitely one that you'll want to customize for yourself to figure out which way of using the gun works best for you. The other primary weapon in this Warbond is the SG-20 Halt. Description says it's a humane compliance weapon with 2 separate magazines, one for armor penetrating flechettes rounds and one for stun rounds. The damage is 385, which is second among shotguns, a capacity of 16, recoils at 120, and the fire rate at 80. It has 3 weapon traits for light and medium armor penetrating as well as rounds reload. There is only one customization option for this gun, which is the 2 firing modes. There are no flashlights or scopes or anything like that. Those 2 firing modes though are the critical components of this gun. The ammo is shared between both of the modes, but you can switch back and forth on the fly, and we would advise that you do that because they do totally different things and can be both very useful. The flechettes mode has medium armor penetrating while stun mode only has light armor penetrating. So the best use of the gun is to stun enemies in the stun mode, then quickly switch over to the flechettes mode and blow them away. This works better with the Terminids though because almost every bug can be stunned, including chargers. It works really well to stun the chargers with the stun mode and then switch modes to go to the back of the charger and shoot off its butt with the flechettes mode. The Halt is really effective against spewers too because you can effectively 2-shot a nursing spewer by stunning them, which also momentarily turns off their puke attack, and then switching firing modes to blow their face off with the flechettes mode. It's also especially effective against the annoying stalkers. Stalkers are super hard to kill if you can't stagger or stun, so the Halt can stun it for you easily and prevent it from running away. The only Terminid that can't be stunned is the Bile Titan. On the Automaton side, you cannot stun tanks as well as Factory Striders. You can stun Hulks, but only if you are able to shoot them in the back, so the Halt is better used stealthily against them. This gun doesn't really excel against the Automatons though. The stun mode switch can be a little tricky with all the blaster fire aimed at you, but also the stunning effect is less effective for something that isn't actively charging you like the Terminids would, so it's a good Terminid gun and an okay Automaton gun, but there are much better options for the bots. Overall, this isn't a must-have gun, but it's definitely useful and is also very unique because of those firing modes. It staggers enemies really well in stun mode, and you can slow down pursuits tremendously, and the Flechettes mode tears up most of the enemies. So if you master both the modes, you would be a force on the battlefield. Next is the secondary pistol, the PLAS-15 Loyalist. The description says that it's a plasma pistol that charges each shot until the trigger is released. Plasma projectiles explode on impact. There are the individual stats, and this gun also has multiple weapon traits with medium armor penetrating, one-handed, charge up, and explosive. I wasn't honestly sure what a Scorcher/Purifier type pistol would be like, and I kinda like it. It does a lot of damage to most enemy types. Just like the two primary weapons, this gun excels against medium tier enemies because of the medium armor penetrating that each weapon has. This weapon has no attachments or scopes, so there is no customization with it. It may seem small, but it really packs a punch, so don't shoot enemies right up in your face because it will end up killing you. You can fire it quickly or hold it in for a charged shot, which will obviously do more damage. The Loyalist is much more similar to the Purifier than the Scorcher when it comes to basically how you shoot the weapon. The Loyalist is especially good against the Automatons. For a secondary, it does a great job of staggering Devastators and taking them out one by one, kind of like the Punisher Plasma does. The Loyalist is so powerful in fact that you can 3-shot a gunship by shooting in the same thruster 3 times in a row with charged shots. We also found on the Terminid side that when it comes to those destroying bug egg missions, the Loyalist is actually a really nice choice because of all the splash damage it has. So it's probably the best secondary for that particular mission. That splash damage does make it stand out from other secondary weapons because the only other secondary with significant splash damage is the grenade pistol, and I find the Loyalist to be a lot more accurate and easy to use against enemies as opposed to the grenade pistol. The splash damage, however, does not actually matter for the bug holes. You are not able to destroy bug holes with this gun. So if you're looking for a splash damage weapon and don't want to use up a stratagem or primary slot for it, you should use the Loyalist. It's a good weapon, but it does have stout competition among secondaries, so it's really up to your preference. Next up is the new booster, Dead Sprint. The description says that it allows Helldivers to keep sprinting even when they are out of stamina, draining their health instead. This booster definitely can be useful. It's great for people that like to run around the map in light armor. It's also really great for trying to collect samples around the map quickly and getting to extraction faster. The booster will not kill you, but it will drain your health all the way down, so make sure to be out of enemies' range once you get close to the end of your health. It can be a great idea to also have the experimental infusion booster equipped alongside Dead Sprint, because you can let your health go down to near zero with Dead Sprint, then stim yourself, bringing your health back up and giving you an extra boost with experimental infusion. Lastly, let's talk about the armor passive Unflinching. This was definitely the most disappointing part of this Warbond. We were really excited when we saw a description that said that it helps prevent Helldivers from flinching when hit. Both armors in this Warbond have this, as well as the new armor from the Superstore, and as cool as those armors are, the passive is totally useless. Neither me nor Swanee could figure out any difference whatsoever in flinching against the Terminids or the Automatons. Instead of saying it helps prevent flinching, it really should totally prevent flinching, since that's all the armor does, and clearly what it does now is not nearly enough, because there's absolutely no discernible difference. Maybe this ability is just glitched and not working properly, or at least that's what we hope, because it totally sucks. We really hope this gets changed because the armors look awesome, but their passive is just totally useless. We'd still recommend the armors, however, just for how good they look, honestly, even with a worthless passive. Alright, so that does it for the Truth Enforcers Warbond. Overall, we would recommend this Warbond for you and say it's worth it for you to get. The cosmetics are awesome, all all 3 guns are useful and unique, and it also has a good booster. Like we said, the only downside is the armor passive, but hopefully in a future update that could get boosted into some sort of usefulness. If you guys liked this video and got something out of it, please like the video for us so more people can see it. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and hit the bell for notifications so you never miss a video. And comment your thoughts on the Warbond so far down below, and see if maybe you think differently, and let us know if maybe you think differently than us or agree. So that does it for us, and we will see you guys next time. Bye bye.